Welcome back to Atomic Cricket Podcast. This episode we are recording just immediately after our exams. We have we missed a lot of cricket. I mean, we didn't cover the first test. We couldn't watch the second test live, but we have with us DJ brother Dhananjaya Chak from Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast. When we started this podcast, we were huge listeners. Even today, we are listeners of this podcast, and thanks for coming. And you know it's just matter of 8 months when we were listeners and now we are creators and we have him on our show. It's like almost a dream come true. Welcome to the show and thanks for coming.
Thanks, Chiru. You guys are doing a great job. It's lovely to see more podcasts join the Indian cricket space. It's you guys are doing a fantastic job along with Vijay sir. And yeah, very, very happy to be here. Very happy to be here after India have won a test match. And I can't wait to talk about all of that with you. Our episode's already out actually on Edges and Sledges. We recorded it the same day the test match finished. So yeah, always happy to talk more and more about Indian cricket team and especially when they win.
Yeah, and the way they won, right? Historical at Lords. It's just like the Lords balcony is Indian teams now, not just more like England or Jimmy Anderson's balcony or anything like that. Uh, and what a way to welcome us back. I mean, we have been off for maybe 2 weeks. We haven't recorded any podcast, and this win is celebrating. And we have what a win, and we have you. And what a way to welcome us back on this episode, talking about it. I mean, just talk about the win, right? The day five. We don't have Vijay sir with us. Vijay sir is having some health problems. Not really bad health problems, just a sore throat. Maitreya is off traveling, so it's only two of us. Never mind, we can talk a lot about the second test, and we can express ourselves freely. Uh, talk about the day five, right? You started off the show. I listened to your podcast. You kick started by talking about the day five. So maybe just talk about the day five. I mean, we didn't watch it live. I'm just catching it up by scorecard because we have our exams. We just completed it at 11:30, and now it's 1:30 that we are recording this episode.
Yeah, it's a dramatic day five, and it's going to be something that lives on in our memories for a really long time. So I've lived in the UK for 13 years now, and I have watched India win three test matches here in the tours that we've done here so far. Two of them have come at Lords. Ajinkya Rahane scoring 100 in 2014. Nottingham had Virat Kohli scoring 100, and this match had Rahul scoring 100. But that was it almost takes you back a week, and on Thursday last week where Rahul scored that 100, went up on the Lord's Honours board, and India looked like it was in complete control. But it was a test match that built up slowly. It built up a narrative, and that's what's beautiful about test cricket, that unlike T20 cricket or one day cricket where everything plays out in the space of a few hours, test cricket plays out over days, right? And what may happen in one innings, the first innings you saw Pujara and Rahani fail, you saw them come back in the second innings, and that is the beauty of test cricket. It's narrative, it's drama. It allows people to um, bounce back from failures. You could be zero in one innings, but you could be 100 in the next innings. You could go wicketless in one innings, but you could pick up 4 wickets, 5 wickets in the next inning. And that's so beautiful. Just to set the scene for this day five. Day five, I was actually at the ground for days 3 and 4, so I was watching the match at Lords. It was pretty fantastic. Joe Root scored 100. Siraj picked up 4 wickets. But day five started with India slightly on the back foot. We were 6 wickets down. India were 153 runs ahead, right? And at that stage, 153, 154 runs ahead. Rishabh Pant, one of our favorite players, Edges and Sledges is called the Rishabh Pant show.
Yeah.
He was at the crease along with Ishant Sharma, who'd been promoted over Mohammed Shami. Now, Mohammed Shami had scored 0 in the first innings. People had said he doesn't know how to bat. Although, to be fair, Mohammed Shami has a decent technique. He just doesn't apply himself, doesn't seem to have the temperament to be able to bat. So Shami got a demotion, and Ishant Sharma was promoted, which I personally thought was a good move. But other than one shot where Pant came out and smashed Jimmy Anderson through the covers on day 5, all our hopes that rested on Pant was slightly dashed when Ollie Robinson had him caught behind of a fairly innocuous looking delivery. Pant poked at it, it goes to Butler. And at that stage, you're 180 runs ahead, right? Ishant is gone as well. 7 wickets down, 180 runs ahead. Indian fans are sort of hoping that you can get to 200 runs. Maybe 200 is a target that we could defend, or it may take them too long. Remember, overs come into this as well. There are 90 overs to be bowled on the last day. Um, so Indian fans were hoping for the last 3 wickets to take some time out of the game, maybe try and extend the innings until lunch. That would be a best case scenario, and score some runs in the process. As it turned out, Mohammad Shami and Jasprit Bumrah, both of whom had scored zeros in the first innings, were the heroes with the bat. And let's put this a bit more in context as well. Now, on day 3, there was a defining moment where Jimmy Anderson had been bounced by Jasprit Bumrah. And he'd been hit in the ribs, he'd been hit on the head, there was a concussion test done. There was a lot of drama at the end of day 3. Jimmy Anderson was not happy. Now, frankly, if you're a tail ender, you're going to get some short balls, right? I think England were not happy that Jasprit Bumrah was overstepping while bowling those short balls. So it seemed they felt that it was deliberately intimidatory bowling. Obviously, Indian fans and the Indian cricket team will say he wasn't overstepping by much. He was overstepping by very, very little. And it was a hot day, so bowling a 10-ball over made no sense. But basically, Anderson had words with Jasprit. He swore at him, is what if Kohli is to be believed on day 4. That spilled over into day 4 while Anderson and Kohli were out there. And then it all built up saying, listen, it's an eye for an eye. You bounced our boy Jimmy. We are going to bounce you, Jasprit Bumrah. But it wasn't Jimmy doing the bouncing. It was Mark Wood. So it was almost like the old man of the team, Jimmy Anderson, said, hey, Mark, you're going to go and hit. It was like a mob boss ordering a hit on somebody, right? It was quite funny. Jimmy Anderson being the head of the mafia there. Bumrah did get hit. He got hit on the head once. He got a glancing blow on the helmet once. But England sort of lost the plot in trying to hurt Bumrah and trying to bounce him out. Because in the first innings, they pitched the ball up. He edged it behind and it was done. That's how he got his duck. Here, the ball was flying all over the place. The fielders were on the boundary. There were no slips at one stage. So it was the plans and the strategy went out of the window. It was almost like England were overtaken by anger and emotion and trying to prove that they are going to hit Bumrah and prove a point for Jimmy Anderson, that they lost control of the test match, which, to be fair, until then, less than 200 runs to score, almost 70, 75 overs to get those runs. And if they'd got the last 3 wickets quickly, that would have, that was England's game at that stage. The pitch hadn't deteriorated. It hadn't gone bad. There was a little bit of uneven bounce, but that's to be expected on day 5. They sort of threw away that advantage. And in the process, Mohammad Shami scored 50 at Lords. Jasprit Bumrah scored 29 at Lords, including 2 beautiful straight drives, which didn't get any runs because they hit the non-striker stumps. And India batted and batted and batted. Indian fans cheered them on. We got to 298 for 8. Kohli even batted on after lunch, sort of. And there are conspiracy theories
Yeah,
saying
it was
that
just 8 balls. What's that theory there? They go for length, they come back, bat 8 balls, and wind up again, declare it. That's kind of unusual. Maybe they wanted to play with England's mindset, like the kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's 2 theories. So for one, thought they should just declare at lunch because you saved 2 overs of the changeover, right? So you would have had 64 overs to bowl at England if you declared at lunch. Kohli came out for 9 balls. Kohli's team sent Shami and Bumrah out for 9 balls, out of which Shami hung around for about 5 minutes, changing his thigh pad while the England players just watched him do this. something that could have been done in the lunch break. Kohli, meanwhile, was spraying himself with cologne on the balcony. Remember, all the players were out on the balcony cheering Bumrah on while Wood was bouncing him and all of that. It was high drama. So that there's a conspiracy theory around this, which is very, very interesting and very, very technical, I felt. Apparently, if an innings is less than 60 overs, it doesn't count towards the over rate. The over rate fines. Now, both these teams have been fined in the first test match. Okay, for a slow over rate. Kohli has gone with 60 overs because he wants to be able to take as much time as he wants. That's the conspiracy theory. So as you
Oh
saw,
God, I never knew about this.
yeah, Ashwin, actually my co-podcaster on Edges and Sledges, has just sent me a screenshot which has this rule on it. I'm going to have to research more on it, but it's such a great theory because um, India were up with the over rate in the first innings, so they didn't get any fines or issues there. They then, if they bowl less than 60 overs, it would not be counted towards the over rate fine, which is frankly a fascinating quirk. So maybe that was what was playing. Maybe Kohli thought he had enough overs. At the end of the day, in hindsight, we know he had enough overs, right? So it was just high drama. So that's where England gets set 200 and 272 runs or 73 runs to win the test match in 60 overs exactly. But I'll come back to you now. I've spoken a lot.
Yeah, and you talked about Mohammed Shami, right? I just wanted to include it here. When Mohammed Shami was batting, I mean, I didn't watch the match live. I just came in and put it, just through Twitter. I was just scrolling in. So now there was just six that Mohammed Shami hit from I don't know which bowler, but exactly it was kind of pull shot. I don't know what that shot was called. I mean, it just looked like Rohit Sharma for me. Both are same structures type. I mean, both are short and a little plump type. The only difference that I saw was the C8 bat that Rohit Sharma had and Mohammad Shami didn't have. So it's kind of I felt Mohammad Shami was Rohit Sharma. That's what I wanted to say here. But again, they got a very good batting. Bumrah didn't expect from nowhere, and Siraj even didn't get to bat. Man, I mean, what's this kind of thing? I mean, you call this a tail, and all are qualified to bat at number 11, and you don't expect usually from this. Maybe they batted. I mean, they practiced maybe batting Bumrah because he was seen batting in the nets at Australia. Bharat Sundaresh brothers just shared a video on Twitter, so I just wanted to state it. So if I ask you, DJ brother, I mean, if you let's talk about the Gaba replica, right? This is almost like a historic win. I mean, you have stated it starting. I mean, if we keep having test matches like this, I mean, we're going to forget Gaba test. And, once in a while we have like this kind of test. We remember Melbourne test, now then Sydney test, then the Gaba test, all three of which are historic. And then we come to England. I mean, we play England at home, and that one test match which we won in 2.5 days, or I'm not sure the shortest test. And then again, at Lords we have this kind of test. We're just going to forget Gaba test. Each series we're going to create one historic test. Maybe we can lose some test matches in our memory, right?
I mean, this is certainly a historic win. It's a dramatic win. I think Gabba was special as we chased down 300 plus to win the series with a team that lacked a lot of our big stars, right? Like this, on the other hand, I think this will live on in the memory because of the manner in which we won the game. It was aggressive. Um, it was charged up. You could see someone like Bumrah was up for it. You saw Siraj, you saw the verbals, you saw the sledging, and it was quality cricket. It was test cricket at its absolute peak. There was drama. The setting was right. It was the quote unquote home of cricket, a term I absolutely detest because I mean, I'm not sure that Lords is really the spiritual home of cricket anymore. It may have been in the 18 and 1900s. It's not anymore. I think that's somewhere in India at the moment. But anyway, besides that, I think it's the team that has been molded in Kohli's image, that you saw it was like it's what KL Rahul said, right? It's like you go after one of us and 11 of us will come after you. And that showed. Now we've talked up till the target was set. But the second ball of the day, of the England innings, Jasprit Bumrah, after hitting Rory Burns on the gloves, gets a leading edge cover of Rory Burns' bat. He lets out a huge scream. You can hear it on the stump mic. And all the players just converge on Rory Burns. And Kohli said it. Kohli said it as they went out. The next 60 overs should feel like hell. If I see anybody smiling, you see what I do to them. It was just the intensity with which that cricket was played. I mean, us sitting at home watching it, we felt pumped up. We could feel the adrenaline flowing through our veins. We lived and breathed every moment with that team. And a win like that makes you so proud, and it's not a win that we're going to forget easily. As I said, I've only watched India win 3 test matches in the last 13 years that they've been touring here. 2 of them have come at Lords, 1 at Nottingham, and I'm really happy I've managed to watch the few days of each of those test matches. So yeah, it was emotional. It was emotional, and won't be forgotten in a hurry.
And brother, if if I ask you, right, you were at the stadium, uh, you know, you were at the stadium. You watched the day three and day four, and every time you go out, you will see Joe Root make hundreds and hundreds after hundreds. I mean, yes, we're gonna talk about KL Rahul's hundred. We're gonna talk about uh, England's bowling and all those things. But let's come to this man, Joe Root. Uh, every time I switch on the TV, I'm going to see this man who's batting at 180 or something like 150, 60, whatever he makes is so valuable to the team. And what I felt is England's lineup is just Joe Root. I mean, you don't need to include anyone. Just give a runner from a substitute runner, and you're going to get runs from this man. So you have been I think at day three or day four, but you were there when Jorut scored that 100. So I think you have watched a lot of times when Jorut has scored 100. And there was a caption from the cricket podcast in on Twitter saying that you have seen certain number of Jorut hundreds. So talk about that.
Yeah, 200s in 2 weeks. I was there for the 100 that he scored at Nottingham, which was a fantastic. I
Oh,
mean, he's a fantastic player. He's beautiful to watch. He's in the form. I don't think he's been in better form ever. There was all this chat about him falling out of the Fab Four when he fell out of form. I'm pretty sure he's back. He scored hundreds in Sri Lanka. He scored hundreds in India. He's now scoring 100 back at home. Nottingham was his first Test 100 in 3 years at home. He then followed it up with 180 not out at Lords. In fact, the fourth innings here was the first time this series that India managed to get him out for less than 50, which was just it was a turning point in the game. To be honest, if Root had been around, it was amazing that we got him. I think third ball after tea. Johnny Bairstow had gone by then. Dom Sibley had gone by then. Hasib Hamid had gone by then. But as long as Joe Root was around, England would have believed they can save the test match. I think winning the test match was out of the question after they lost 2 wickets for 0 runs or 1 run. But as long as Joe Root was around, they would have believed that they can play out the 60 overs. Um, he's batting brilliantly, and India need to keep him quiet to um, continue to do well in this series. But as you say, he's a one-man band. Like we did in the first innings, we got everybody else out, and Joe Root was stranded on 178 or something like that. But yeah, the other thing that Joe Root's form will do is I think it'll spur Kohli on, because Kohli's a competitive guy, and at the moment Kohli's averaging 20. Joe Root is averaging 128 in the series. Kohli will be comparing himself to Root, the best batsman in the England team, and he will be working really hard to bring Joe Root's average down through his bowlers and push his average up through his batting. So, yeah, Joe Root been brilliant this series, but one-man band with the batting, and Anderson's been a one-man band with the bowling. So it's been the Root and Anderson show, the Randerson show.
oh. Okay, let's get in and talk about the match summary a bit. It's too late, but never mind. We have talked a lot of things. I hope you enjoyed. Yes, England won the toss. They opted to bowl first. They expected to take wickets, but India didn't give them that. Rohit Sharma and Rahul got off to a very good start. Uh, Rohit Sharma got a 50. Rahul got a 100, and he got his name on the honors board. And then Kohli gets out very cheaply, and then Rahane and Pujara stitch up a partnership, a very valuable partnership, in fact. And Pujara was off the mark in 35 balls, 0 of 35 balls, and he plays a crucial 40. I mean, he didn't get a 50 in 204 balls. Now, Rahane, this man is always a guy when he doesn't perform well on a consistent scale in the past few years, but anytime there is an emergency, you just got to call him and he'll come and save you. He'll hit some runs. Uh, Rahane gets some runs, and then uh, we get 364, and then England scored 391, and it was all because of Joe Root. Siraj was on fire. He was about to take an hat trick in both the innings. In fact, we're going to talk about him later on the show. But again, we talked about India's batting in the third innings. 298 is what they get. Uh, Absolute innings from very good innings from Shami and Bumrah. I mean, I think Pujara and Rahane scored 50s in this third innings. That's what I think. And 120 is from England, and India beat England by a very big margin. So this is a match summary. Let's talk about KL Rahul's 100, brother. I mean, this man, he's been out for a while. He has made a good comeback in Nottingham. He scored a 50. He didn't get unluckily a century, but he comes here, scores a brilliant century. And day two, there's two balls he faces and he gets out. But uh, what the experts were talking about is on day one, the pitch is going to be tough to bat on and all those kind of things. Michael Vaughan would say all those kind of people, but he comes there, scores 100, brilliant 100, and talk about him. I mean, this was a match defining moment. We had a kick start from there right itself, and we played with that intent. And this test match was kind of survival to revival. That's what Dinesh Karthik captioned. So we had Rahane and Pujara, who were those guys who were surviving, and reviving was this Shami, Bumrah, and then Siraj for the bowling. So kind of thing. So yeah, talk about KL Rahul's 100, brother.
Yeah, superb summary actually. KL Rahul, I have a theory that he scores runs when he bats in short sleeves. The moment he goes into long sleeves, he seems to get out very easily. So I'm glad he's stuck to the short sleeves. Even if it's a bit cold, I think it's okay. He should stick to that because he's scoring lots of runs in them. Um, Fantastic innings. He's tightened up his technique. He's worked super hard on it. You want him to do well. He's an all format player. He's obviously matured as he's gone along. And it's superb to see him grab this opportunity with both hands, making himself undroppable for the rest of the series. No matter what happens, he's going to play the rest of the series, right? And he was not the first choice opener. He was probably behind Gill and Mayank in the pecking order, and Prithvi Shaw as well. But circumstances meant that he opened in the first innings at Trent Bridge, and he scored 84 there. He then batted nicely in the second innings. He's now got 100. So yeah, we'll see how the others come back. But absolutely brilliant. We must also remember Rohit Sharma's 83, which was an incredible innings in very challenging condition. Lights on, overcast conditions, Anderson swinging it, clouds around. It was and the Anderson and clouds reference was not meant to come one after the other. It just happened to. Rohit's innings was beautiful. It helped Rahul settle in, bat slowly initially, and then he accelerated, which was the perfect thing to do on that track in those conditions. Cash in one when the sun was out. Disappointing, he couldn't go on, but maybe he was already drained, or a lot of emotion had gone into day one. Chiteshwar Pujara and Rahane, second innings. masterclass in batting. Lots of people who don't understand cricket will tell you, oh, they don't score any runs. They didn't score any runs in that session. It was a really boring day of cricket to watch. But if you understand Test cricket, it was absorbing. It was England threw everything that they had at that pair. They were the last pair of batsmen, pure batsmen. Of course, we had Pant and Jadeja and others to come afterwards. But they were the last pair of pure batsmen under immense pressure. They were under immense pressure. There was Vihari waiting in the wings, there's Sky waiting in the wings, there's Mayank who could bat at three. So Pujara spot and Rahane spot under the scanner, and they average about 20-25 in the last few innings. The amount of character that they showed, I mean, we sit here and we criticize and we sit in an armchair and we talk about cricket. We doing that out in the middle under that pressure with the test match on the line. That session where they both batted and they put on about, I think it was a partnership of, it was about 90 runs, I think 80, 90 runs. That helped India uh, come back into the match. We were effectively at one stage 28 for 3 in the second innings. And that could have quite easily ended in us being bowled out and basically being England chasing 150. It could have quite easily happened from there. What the Pujara Rahane partnership did is that it allowed India to get back into the game and then pull ahead of the game. Right. So before you accelerate and before the Pants and the Jadejas of the world came in, it tired the English bowlers out. It allowed India to get back into the game. It is one of the most defining moments of that test match as well. It was not exciting. It was not Mumbai Indians versus CSK, but it was test match cricket at its finest and at purest. You ask Vijay sir when he comes on next what the defining passage of this test match is, and I'm pretty sure he will pick the Pujara and Rahane partnership. Just brilliant, brilliant test match batting, putting away your ego and just playing the ball, not the men, not the crowd, just shutting out all the noise and just batting. And I mean, brilliant. I'm getting goosebumps thinking of it. And eventually, in the final analysis, it was so important because it took time out of the game as well. So, yeah, brilliant. Absolutely loved it.
Yeah, sorry. Yes, now we're going to talk about Mohammed Siraj, right? This man, this man was the guy who made us win on the fourth innings, on the final day. I mean, if he wouldn't have been taking out wickets, I mean, India wouldn't have won this test match. He comes and he has played the Gaba test. This young man, he plays the Gaba test. He has been the hero there. He's been the hero in the England tour. Brilliant IPL. Yes, the IPL isn't maybe finally over, but still, as a brilliant IPL season comes here and takes wickets, Mohammad Siraj. And I mean, first test wasn't the best of tests for him. I mean, it there could be chances where he could be removed, and maybe Ashwin, they were expecting him to come. Remember the first day, there were a lot of tweets coming up saying, why is Ashwin not playing? But these bowlers were enough because the way Siraj played was enough, and he took 4 wickets in the fourth innings. And after every wicket, I mean, all the slips, Rohit Sharma, Virat Kohli, everyone runs in. What kind of celebration is this? I mean, I haven't watched it live, but I've seen some clips, I've seen the highlights. And even before Rohit Sharma completes taking the one hand catch, you see Virat Kohli even no running away. I mean, even when Pant was catching the ball, I mean, it still is in the air and it's not yet in the gloves. And you see Virat Kohli jumping around. I mean, yes, they did miss catches. Rohit Sharma missed one, Virat Kohli missed one. But I mean, the celebration, the way they celebrated was like packed unity. Uh, it was amazing to see. I mean, even KL Rahul made the statement, as you told, one, that was of verbals, but at the same time, they did with the celebration too, with the verbals too. So both of these things. how was the celebration? I mean, I haven't seen this in my tenure of watching cricket. I mean, I'm so young. You guys have watched a lot of cricket. For me, I've never seen someone celebrating like this. Yes, Virat Kohli, I've seen him celebrating so madly, but I mean, all of them coming running from the slips corner to the wicket, jumping around, and Bumrah jumping when India won. I mean, you could see that, right?
Yeah,
So talk
it
about the
was
celebration.
brilliant. It was brilliant. I mean, the celebrations you've seen Kohli celebrate, but today we saw, it feels like today because it's still running in my head. Um, we saw in the fourth innings every single Indian cricketer, maybe not Jinx and Rohit because they're pretty chilled out characters. They seem pretty calm, but even Rohit, I mean, like when the root wicket went, you could see Rohit celebrating. It was like football celebrations when a goal is scored. And Virat Kohli was giving me the feel of a football forward, putting the ball past the goalkeeper and just taking off every time a wicket fell. It was brilliant. Now, you must remember that we talked about the verbals, right? Verbals mean nothing if you can't back it up with performances on the field. They mean nothing, right? Look at the Amir Sohail Venkatesh Prasad incident. Amir Sohail is sledging Venkatesh Prasad. Venkatesh Prasad has a last laugh by bowling him the next ball in 1996 in the World Cup. A defining moment, epic. This match had 10 wickets like that in the final innings, right? And that's why it's going to be such an epic and iconic test match because of the setting, because of the, I mean, sort of, we talked about the Lord's balcony. Sort of Ganguly set the trend up in 2002 when he took off his shirt and he waved it at the Lord's balcony. Dada was there at Lords again in a suit and tie this time, which he kept on, thankfully, as a BCCI president and a member of the MCC. But it was, again, the whole nation celebrated with them. You could see it. It was, they wanted it so badly. They wanted this win so badly. They had to prove a point, but they didn't also let their emotions run away with them. They controlled their aggression. They channeled it. They channeled it to the right place. They had the skill to back those verbals. Bumrah bowling that slower ball to Ollie Robinson when it looked like England were going to block it out for the next 15 overs to save the test match. Slow ball from around the wicket was, it's a touch of genius. It is a touch of genius. I mean, is that the way that you think you're going to get a wicket on day 5 of a test match? Bowling a slower ball, a skill that he's probably perfected in the IPL, learned probably from Malinga, learned from um, uh, playing T20 cricket, picking up a wicket in test match cricket, a defining wicket, a brilliant piece of bowling. Even someone like Michael Holding saying that that is brilliant bowling. And that is high praise coming from one of the best bowlers to have played the game. It was absolutely incredible. I think you talked about the Sam Curran incident. Obviously, Sam Curran has tormented India in the past, scoring lots of runs. He ends up on a king pair. Unbelievable. And we dropped catches. There was no wicket of a no ball, Moeen Ali edging it behind. But it was like it was written, it was destined to happen. And Kohli believed, and India believed. And with Siraj picking up those 4 wickets, he took 2 wickets and 2 balls twice in the game. In the first innings as well, he took out Rory Burns and Haseeb Hameed. In the second innings, he took out Sam Curran and he took out who was the
And I
other
believe
guy?
Joe Root faced both the hat trick balls in both the innings. I mean, I think this is the first time. Maybe I'm not sure.
I don't think Joe Root faced it in the second innings because there were 2 different bowlers that took it. Shami and Bumrah took the first 2 wickets, but Ishant also took 2 wickets and 2 balls. So it was a test match where when 1 wicket fell, 2 wickets fell, which was absolutely incredible, right? So yeah, it was dramatic, and I mean, the end of it was I mean, the only thing you could have scripted slightly better, and I don't know who's writing these scripts for Indian cricket, would have been Jasprit Bumrah bowling to Jimmy Anderson, right? That would have been the perfect, like the hero versus the villain end to that test match at Lords. It would have been like Superman versus Bizarro or like Batman versus Joker type of end to that test match. As it turned out, Siraj cleaned up Jimmy Anderson. And I've watched that clip so many times, right? I've realized that Rohit Sharma actually takes the catch of Jimmy Anderson's off stump at second slip, one
Yeah.
handed. and throws it up. It is such a brilliant clip. Everyone else is running. Virat Kohli is running off. Rohit Sharma has just caught the ball off the stumps. That is the level of skill this team has. Even in a moment like that, to be able to react to catch the ball off the stumps, it's brilliant. And it's and you mentioned the Bumrah jumping up in the background. That is camera work at its absolute
Yeah.
finest. Jimmy Anderson is in the foreground, looking down because he knows England have lost the Test match. Jasprit Bumrah, he doesn't know that there are any cameras on him at that stage, but he's jumped up like an Olympic pole vaulter. That is the clearance Bumrah has had. The NBA should seriously look at Bumrah because he has jumped vertically about 6 feet. It was
Maybe
brilliant.
we can just see those in films and Olympics.
Yeah, it's absolutely brilliant camera work. It's brilliant drama. It's brilliant theater. And it was all the drama and uh, everything just built through the Test match. India threw away their chances. England had that chance in their first innings to build a massive lead. I think they were only 23 runs behind with 5 wickets still left in the bank. Moeen Ali and Joe Root batting. They could have gone on to get a lot of runs. But it was a tale of missed opportunities until one team decided to take its opportunity. And that team was Team India with the bat on day 5 and with the ball on day 5. Magnificent. I mean, I think every time I talk about it, I relive the emotion. It's brilliant. It's so good.
Yeah, now let's move on and talk about the third test. I mean, a little bit preview kind of thing. Uh, so we're going to talk about Pujara and Rahani. So there have been a lot of talk on these guys. So for now, it's settled. I think kind of settled because Pujara brilliant 40, Rahani emergence 50. So both these innings were very good, and I think it's kind of settled now. There won't be a talk for a while that this Pujara's average from 2019 is this and this. Rahane is not performing. And one thing, and also there is a talk on Virat Kohli's inconsistency. I mean, he hasn't scored for a while now. Uh, yes, he has scored 42 runs in the second test, first innings. But now, what does he do? I mean, he's going to fire up. Now, he has won the test match. The team has given him, and now he needs to give it to the team. So, right. Uh, Anderson Kohli rivalry went on into the first test. We didn't talk about the first test because the second test there's a lot of things to talk about. We skipped it. Never mind. But I mean, if Kohli comes in the third test, and maybe I would like to see a 71st century coming, maybe that kind of thing. So Virat Kohli is settled. I mean, you can't remove him as a captain. And now Prithvi Shaw and Surya Kumar Yadav or they have come from the quarantine. I mean, they've finished their quarantine, so they're available for selection if their fitness is fine. So uh, what do you say? I mean, do you think there should be any changes other than maybe yes, there are talks about Ashwin coming in. Yes, we have win the test. I mean, we have won the test, but do you see any changes coming in India's team when they prepare in this third test?
So obviously the pitch will play a part in that. We'll see what the pitch at Leeds has. If there's more, if it looks dry and they may be spinning it, maybe Ashwin will come in instead of. I want to say, I don't know who he'll play instead of. Maybe Shant. I don't think you can drop Siraj after that performance. Shami contributed as well. Obviously, Bumrah has contributed. So we'll have to see fitness, right? It may be that they just go with the same 11. The only thing I would worry about is workload. Bumrah's bowled a lot of overs, so is Shami and Siraj. So it may be that they rest somebody. There's obviously Umesh waiting in the wings as well. I can't see India changing the batting at all because, I mean, Pujara and Rahane did their job in the second innings. Kohli is obviously the captain. And he's a big player, so you're not going to change anything there. Jadeja's contributed with the bat and in the field, and would have contributed with the ball if he hadn't overstepped. So I think there's only one question, and that question is, can you fit Ravi Ashwin in at 8? And if so, who sits out? And we'll have to see how fitness develops over the next week or so. Um, That's what I said. I mean, this has been a complete team performance, right? Like Ishant picking up those 2 wickets in 2 balls, Ishant taking Hasib in the second innings. Um, it's you. No one has been a passenger on this trip, which is the brilliance. Yes, you didn't have people going up on the Lord's honors board, but I would rather have Siraj picking up 4 wickets in both innings and contributing than being, I don't know what Jimmy Anderson did, pick up 5 wickets in the first innings and not doing anything in the second innings, right? So I it's been a complete team performance. I can't think of one person who hasn't done anything in this match. I genuinely can't, other than maybe Kohli, but he's the captain and he led the team brilliantly. His captaincy was on point. The bowling changes, the aggression, the intensity, and people are like, "Oh, I don't like this Kohlification of this team. I don't like this aggression and verbals and all of that stuff." See, boss, like I've watched cricket since the early 90s. Okay. This has always come at us. The South Africans have done it. They've bounced our tail enders. Watching Doda Ganesh playing Alan Donald, it's not pleasant, right? When we give it back, this is after years, and Kohli's grown up in the domination of Australia. Those are the dominant years. Australia was the team to aspire to. Kohli is more Australian than the Australians themselves. And the Australians respect him for that. They hated him to start with, but they love him in Australia now because he stands up toe to toe with them. And there was a great article in The Guardian, actually, which talks about how when Ollie Robinson was coming out to bat, two of the Indian substitutes had run out to give drinks to the players. And Robinson was coming out to bat, and the two substitutes were going into the pavilion. And the substitutes would not give way to Ollie Robinson. They would not move out of his way. So they had to squeeze past each other. That is what Kohli has his team looks the opposition in the eye. If there are no verbals, that's fine. But there are stares, there's aggression. And I mean, he's created this team in the image of the great Australian team of the 2000s. They were not always liked. Make no mistake, they were not always liked, but they were very successful. And as long as you were winning test matches without cheating, without sandpaper gate, without, I don't know, whatever else like body line and stuff, I'm okay with that. The aggression, it comes from inside. The fire that burns in Kohli, it's amazing. And that's a legacy he leaves with Indian cricket eventually, that we're second to nobody. That you can look everyone in the eye and say you've done your best, and off the field, that that's a different ball game altogether. But on the field, it's what Kohli said: if I see anyone smiling, you see what I do to them, right? And that level of intensity I've never seen Indian cricket have. And yes, there was aggression. There was Dravid, Tendulkar, Lakshman. They had their own form of aggression, but they never had the bowling to back up that aggression. God bless Javagal Srinath. He tore his shoulder bowling for India. But he was only him, and he was Venkatesh Prasad. He also hurt his shoulder bowling for India. Then you had Kumble and you had the spinners to come on after that. You didn't have this battery of 4 fast bowlers bowling at 85, 90 miles per hour. Kohli's India has that. Built through the Dhoni era. Kohli's India has that. He uses it to his best advantage. It's great. It's amazing. I love it. And he also, remember, backs the people that he believes in. He's backed Ajinkya Rahane throughout. All this chatter, he's backed Rohit Sharma throughout. All the chatter about how Rahane should be captain. Kohli backs Ajinkya Rahane as his vice captain, even though there's all this chat about, Kohli's not a good captain, Rahane should be test captain. Kohli backs Rohit Sharma in the ODI game, backs him in the test game. Kohli is not playing for himself anymore. He's got enough records. Fine, he hasn't got scored his 71st 100 for a long time. So what? He's not playing for records. He's playing to better the legacy of Indian cricket now. And you saw it in the DK interview that he gave, right? Just amazing.
Yeah, I watched it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now let's talk about England team. I mean, so their openers, Rory Burns and Dom Sibley, they're kind of now both have gone for ducks in the second in the fourth innings. So now, do they replace with do England team think of maybe Butler on base to open, maybe to give a right balance on the top, and maybe have some little bit of lack of battery in the middle order, and maybe expect something from Moeen Ali, because you're not seeing England's lineup for two test matches. Two test matches are being concluded, and you're only seeing one batting lineup. That's one man show. That's Joe Root, as we talked about earlier on this show. So, do you think some mixtures, some kind of things can happen?
So I can't see Butler and Bairstow opening just because I don't think they open in the red ball game anyway. Maybe in the white ball version, yes. Burns has done enough to stay. I think he scored 49 in this game. He's done enough in the Ashes. He scored runs there as well. So I think he's okay. Sibley is more difficult. But who are they going to replace him with? It's like a revolving door of the same players. Like you bring Zach Crawley back in, you move Hamid up to open and brings Zach Crawley back in at 3. But Crawley's been dropped in the second test match for poor form. So Ollie Pope is the one that I think will come into this lineup. Where he bats is going to be a good question. It would be, I think Joe Root is in good enough form to move up to 3, but maybe he doesn't want to disturb himself. I think it would be unfair to ask Ollie Pope to bat at 3. He's a middle order 5-6 type of batsman. So maybe Bairstow moves up to 3. Maybe Bairstow is in decent form. Maybe Pope bats at 5. But that means Hamid has to open the batting, and that means Sibley sits out. That would be the only solution to that scenario. But I can't see Butler and Bairstow opening the batting. I think if they were to sacrifice anyone, it would be Bairstow batting at 3, and that's. I don't think India would mind that, to be honest. Seeing Johnny Bairstow walking in at number 3, England batting has always been disarray. It's being held together with Sticky, Plaster, and Joe Root at the moment.
Yeah, let's wrap the show by talking about our predictions, kind of thing. So I'm the one guy who always gets wrong in this predictions type, but I'm trying to play safe. So nowadays I've just said 2-2 in the series. Now, what is your prediction? Next test, who wins, and the series prediction. I mean, yes, we haven't previewed this entire series to talk about it, but from here, three test matches, what happens?
I think India take the series 3-1. That would be a great result. It assumes that the weather stays good for the rest of the series. But it should be. If it's dry, I think England will win 1 test match, but India will win 2 more test matches and take the series 3-1. I hope so, because the last time we were leading at Lords, India lost that series 3-1 after the after the second test match in 2014. I really hope history does not repeat itself there, because and I'm glad that we have such a break between this test match and the next one, because it'll allow the emotions to cool a bit. It will allow India to refocus on the task at hand, which is winning the series, right? And arguably we could have been 2-0 up. Equally, it could have been 1-1 if Trent Bridge hadn't gone our way on the last day. But this Indian team is looking superior to the English team. But I suspect the English team will strike back with 1 test match, but India will win 2 more. And the trophy will go home. It's coming home.
Okay.
Rather, it's staying at
no.
home, because we already hold it, right?
Yeah, fine. So yeah, thanks, DJ brother, for coming. We'll wrap this show. So now I don't know if any of our listener is not aware of it. This Sledges Cricket Podcast, but only our friends maybe, because our friends, our classmates technically, who just watch cricket podcast because of our podcast. Yes, you can always listen to Edges and Sledges Cricket Podcast, and I think we borrow a lot of listeners from you, and that's why you're on this show. So thanks for coming. It was pleasure talking to you, and I think I've you know learned a lot of things from you, and maybe we can I and Maitreya can learn from you, and maybe make our show better.
Yeah, you guys are doing a great job. You've got a lot of time on your side, right? So, yeah, you guys have started early, which I'm a bit jealous of. So, yeah, good luck on your podcasting journey. You guys are doing a great job. Say hello to Vijay sir. He's obviously been a guest on our show previously, and he's been on our Twitter space as well. So, hopefully, he gets well really soon and continues to regale us with his tales of Indian cricket for a long, long time. So. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. It's been a really great chat. I love talking about Indian wins, not so much about 36 all out, but remember it was only 8 months ago that we were talking 36 all out. Here we are. Incredible. What a turnaround. Huh? Life, test cricket. Brilliant.
Yeah, and we want to wish our editor and our team member Akash a very happy birthday. So his birthday is today, and listeners, you can just post whatever you want, wishing him happy birthday because he's been doing a lot of things to us. And DJ brother, you aren't aware of his birthday, you can wish him too. And
Happy birthday,
thanks.
man. Happy birthday, Akash.
Yeah, and this is the end of today's episode. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, and wherever you have your social media accounts. Don't forget to follow Edison Sledges Cricket Podcast. I don't think anyone is not aware of Edison Sledges Cricket Podcast. Thanks for coming, and let's wrap this show.